schools, right from we know in our in India that there is a 70% higher education is in private sector. 40% schools are private sectors in India. And then we commit here in this policy that we are not going to promote, commercialization of education. Can you think of what is going? So we have put broken UGC. I am a UGC net qualified, and I have gone to those UGC. Prior Dr. Rakesh was referring when I qualified, but I qualified when early, and I had the opportunity to visit and having a good time with the, in Delhi. Talking about regulation, accreditation, and talking about those grant promoting bodies, and then overall consents. So there are a lot of bodies which will take shape. So that time will tell. We don't know. It's very difficult. But we have to put these houses in order. Really, it's a big challenge. And this is great opportunity for the government and especially all educational administrators. In fact, the policy said teachers lies at the center stage of all this policy execution. I differ here. I say not teachers. It is educational administrators, policy makers, or executors. You understand? They are at the center stage of these success of these policies. They can make or break it. So it depends on how they are moving it in right direction. So that's why we're talking about how they are going to curb. Like page 48 of our policy, we talk about curbing commercialization of education. And to stop, they say key priority will be to adopt the regulatory system. They talk about light but tight. Wonderful word. They talk about in the, I'm just page 48, I'm referring. So as I can say, there is no room for a profit entity. So I don't know what will happen to all business, houses who have started. I taught in Delhi in ILM, New Delhi Lodi Road, this Usha group. So all big houses jumped into creating universities. Still you find Jindal, ABB. You will find in Delhi or all over the world. So I don't know how they are going to deal with that challenges. Like I say, 70% higher education and these challenges and all. And they say it can't be run for a profit entity. So it has to be done. So that commercialization, I don't know how going to be checked, how it is going to be negotiated. But we need, of course, participation of private sector. But private sector is not a profit oriented, like what is happening in US now. If you move on a road, you have to pay $10. If you go, even the jails are privatized and all. So sometimes I used to visit my son there and say, believe me. So we used to see, we are good in India. Oh, of course, our roads are broken, but somehow we are also bringing PPP here in many sectors. That is a different issue. I'm not going into that. So we shouldn't have this. I'm happy at least the commercialization in education, we have stopped. I'm very happy. And I salute all those policy makers and to go into, unless they change or they do something, there. So I am really happy for this because education is the most important thing. So here they talk about major reform. They talk about building character, like we just talked about the morning. Any education, like there are three keywords. They're given like Gyan, wisdom, which is very important. So your education, knowledge and wisdom, and then truth, satya. So these are three keywords used. I add fourth, which is justice, because justice is very important. Without having a good justice system, because of course satya itself is a form of justice, nyaya. But I feel, so any good system and all, that's in the commercialization, there is no room there here. So that's what exactly on page 3 our report say. The education must build character. Our student is enable our learners to be ethical, very important present time. So rational, having compassion and caring. These are very loaded words. If we achieve 50% of these words, what does it mean here? Oh God, we reach somewhere else, because at the same time providing gainful and fulfill employment. I'm going to focus little on that, but before that I will talk about a little more about these policies and all, because they are talking in the background of the job market. We see what is happening worldwide or even in Indian Of course, I'm not talking about the COVID scenario now, otherwise as well. So, I mean, it is creating people. So there is going to be prescribed less on content, more on practice, and putting people into more cognitive mode and critical solving mode. So that's the key issue, making them more multidisciplinary. All right. But of course, there is a balance of multidisciplinary. So somebody has said, in Lucknow, there is a big Kumar Barabanki, there used to be a poet. He says in Urdu or Hindi, he says, had se badhe to ilm, had se badhe ilm. If it goes beyond limit, ilm means education. तो है जहल दोस्तों, जहल मीन्स जहालत, तो है जहल दोस्तों, इलिटरेसी. सब कुछ जानते हैं वो कुछ जानते नहीं, सब कुछ जो जानते हैं. So he's a style he's talking about. So you have to make a good way. This is the Kumar style of saying, like, you know, like master of none, jack of all trade. So multidisciplinary, yes, but we have to make a fine-tuned balance to see, like, you know, how it is going to work. And then it's talking about, like, of course, changing scenario, like in the labor market, we are talking about how you're going to deal with all these new issues. So there is a very fancy words being used, big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all these words have got a space in this policy, which is wonderful, and that will create more and skills. So how we are going to digest all those, how we are going to create, like, an employment for them. And the most important thing that report will achieve, I think, to push, I think, of course, it will flow, it will take time. Any report you can't say in 5 years, this kind of thing. It takes a generation to pass through. I mean, 20 years, last 20 years, I am teaching in Middle Eastern countries here, teaching Arabs, being a non-Arab. And I have earlier my 10 years, 15 years, I have been in India. I was teaching Delhi 6 years, 10 years around in India. So, I mean, I have seen, like, you know, I can compare and I can see it is very small time. So we can't say it will take time, which is most of the people here, like you just talking about earlier as well. So new pedagogy is, of course, very important here, which is talking about more holistic, more experiential, putting more, like you said, talk about, like, you know, rather than less on content, less PG on the bag, but it is more application. But you need resources, you need infrastructure, you need trained workforce, people, because who makes schools? Schools principal, your good teachers, resources, and good administrator. And teachers, I was just reading, and this is our report which I was reading. It is very, we have 10,000 BEd schools, Teacher Education Institute, they call TEIs, and they are not attempting any serious education, teacher education. This is not my word. They are selling degrees for a price. This is not quote unquote. This is the NEP 2020, page number 42. They say over 10,000. This is the finding of J.S. Verma Commissions, 2012, considered by Supreme Court. So this is the how like, you know, higher education. So look, we need to redefine our teachers. You have to generate a supply chain of, like, you know, teachers. Good teacher makes a good student, and the teacher who learns, they can make. So these are the challenges, I mean, we're saying. So then the critical thinking and multidisciplinary, what we are talking about, innovations, all these big words, adapting, absorbing new material, very novel and changing field, all this is possible. Of course, we have been doing. It is not that not happening in Indian schools. It is happening. But it is not happening in all schools. Like this is talking about 2040, we all have. So that's the big challenge, because we have got right to education in 2009, that act, and that force. So of course, putting child into some kind of schools, this is also primary responsibility. So here the good education, what the policy we define, which is wonderful, which I say, I mean, really, I will put it here. And it is, even I put every time we need to practice. It is like something, a good education, like, you know, I'm going to write a paper on that. And I will try to relate. She say every student feel welcomed and cared. So there should be no bullying, and then, like, you know, by teacher and all kind of discrimination you have to remove, and especially of the mind. I'm not talking other discrimination. The discrimination of wisdom or knowledge, and also it should be accommodate all, even those who have little knowledge. So every student feel welcomed and cared. This policy talk about. It talk about safe and stimulating learning environment for a student. Number 3, talk about wide range of learning experiences. Wonderful. That is not rotten stuff and all. You go eat a lot and vomit next day and forget that. You ask what was the book, you say, yeah, it was yellow color, it was green color, like I always say. Most of my students are, good number of them, they are also like that. So that rotten and all, and we need, like you say, infrastructure, physical and appropriate resources. Like this is very important, and then we can do. Next important issue, which is, so this is the great words. I mean, how we are going to execute, these are the challenges. I mean, so this has to be, if it is ensured, I can say 50% in 10 years. Believe me, India will be, I don't know where. 50% if we execute. Forget 100%, yeah, I will know. But even if 50% of these we execute in 50% of schools, 60% of school, we achieve in coming 20 years, which we are talking about 2040. It will be great achievement, great social service. The approach is also like, what we are talking here. Say, for example, the government want to get away from the coaching culture. This is very clearly they say. They talk about coaching. So everywhere India is like in coaching, all right? I go, I see my all nephew, niece and all, they are all busy in coaching. Am I right? So they have to do competitive examination. Many people pass, and they are every year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. One of my niece, she was traveling, I don't know how many 100 kilometers. She was not sharing that information with me because I will not be happy. So the whole night and then go and mock exam and all these just to qualify his master.